Let's begin. I'm glad you're here. We'll start in a seated position. There you go. And we'll allow the hands to just momentarily come to a restful state. Even the attempt of bringing the hands to one singular position can help break the spell. And we change our breath. So whatever that means. How do we change our breath? Well, remember that these meditative arts, these yogic arts, are a form of state training. So we're selecting to attempt to put ourselves in a different state, a different perception, a different degree of perceptivity. And to grow the awareness of when our state changes. Are we in a concentrated state, a distracted state, a daydreamy state? So for these moments, just these first few moments, we'll start to use our ujjayi breath as it's a type of funnel and valve. It starts to create the container for our breath within this body. And as we're applying that ujjayi, it's a little restriction. Notice how it's a measured way of both containing and releasing, guarding, intaking. And if we wanted to allow more breath in, just a subtle adjustment of that ujjayi, it's like we're turning on a faucet. Gives us more intake and less guard. More release, less containment. And if we strengthen the sound of that ujjayi, we increase that bottlenecking, that valve-like activity. And increase the guard and reduce the input, the intake. I can increase the containment, reducing the degree of release. There's an enormous amount we can play with here. So just know that that little valve, that ujjayi, is adjustable. And the attempt, something we try to do, right, in our practice, is to just keep our hand on the proverbial faucet. To not forget the ujjayi, to not forget our that we have a hand in our breathing, that we have choice. We haven't forgotten our choice. We'll do this in a really simple, very simple ratio. The ratio is 1 to 1. And we'll start with a count of 8, and we'll work our way up to a count of 15. So a round of 8, 8, in, out, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12 in, 12 out, 13 in, 13 out, 14 in, 14 out, 15 in, 15 out. Now, I don't guarantee that will cover the whole span. You may just start to work your way up that ladder and realize your sweet spot. No strain. Begin when you're ready. The ladder is here to help us put just a finer acknowledgement on the how it is we slow or accelerate, how we sculpt the shape of our breath. Notice how as you bring on the ujjayi, the glottal valve-like restrictor, there's a tacit call to the ribs and the abdominals and the diaphragm to work differently. To behave differently. When we change a behavior, what do we perceive? What do we notice? What do we feel? And give us just another moment to wrap up. We'll take our twist from lying. So when you're through with that little exercise, let's lie on our right side. Draw the left knee up. I'll use some props. I like props when I'm lying like so. The props are just to help place your leg in a way that is suitable for your sacrum. That works. The left arm reaches back, and I'll encourage for this lying spinal twist, the right leg, the straightened leg on the ground, send it out, reach it away. And just for a little extra goodness, again, speaking about the right leg, if I flex or make my foot active, there's a good chance my toes are facing the horizon. I'm going to slightly rotate my entire leg like an axis so my toes just begin to orient to sky. It's not a hard vertical, it's just a little internal rotation for fun. Now, while I'm involving that deep inner right leg, we will revisit some of our inner leg fun times. And let our breath stroll right up the spine from the low back, through the low ribs, all the way into the chest bones and the collarbone. Nice, let's release, let's switch sides. So we'll straighten out the left leg, and from lying, we'll turn onto our left side. Props welcome under the right knee. Just hiked high. And you'll place the right arm in a way that feels good to your chest and your breast and armpit and ribs. So now the left leg, the straightened leg along the ground, flex. Let's play with that internal rotation, which is the leg motion that would start to turn the toes toward the sky. So what are some of those ways we can encourage ourselves to have insight, to have a different degree of perceptivity, to see something more clearly, to embrace something more wholly or lovingly? What are some of the behaviors or the things we can do that will help us kind of fall into these deeper states of knowing and being? Well, on a physical level, we can change our breath. We could soften our eyes, relax our jaw. We'll release. And let's turn and press up to seated. Okay. Any seated position is fine. I just like for you to have the butt on something. We're going to do a little experiment. Okay. So we're going to try out this little experiment. We'll see what we get. I believe it'll illustrate something, but let's go right. We'll just stay with the cross-legged. Perfect. Inhaling. I just want you to get a measure of feel for breath occurring in your upper chest, your upper back, toward the top of the sternum, under the shoulder blades. In fact, let's take 2 or 3 just to make sure we get a fair litmus here, a fair baseline. Okay. Now, we're just going to artificially kind of push our tongue. So we're going to make a tension in the tongue muscle. So you could just kind of push it up against the roof of your mouth. You could twist it off onto one side of your mouth. Just wherever. We're going to create a little tension of tongue. And notice what's going on in the shoulder. If you can notice anything, if anything is able. Take a few breaths. If you want to tense the jaw, that's fine. Okay, now relaxing the tongue, relaxing the jaw. And that doesn't have to mean slack. It doesn't have to mean like blah, completely leave and not feel your tongue, jaw. Feel them. Don't leave them, but just allow them to soften. So consciously releasing tension through the tongue and the jaw, and take maybe a couple more breaths. They're feeling breaths, they're exploratory breaths. Again, the tops of the shoulders, sternum, chest, and upper back. I'll just say for me, on my end, it was subtle but discernible. Okay? It was a whisper of something, but distinctly something was different. Okay. And I'll just let you kind of ponder that for a bit. Our jaw and our tongue, there's a lot of connection to through the shoulder girdle and to our shoulder blade. I noticed just a subtle little hiking up of the shoulder and a discernible restriction of breath in what felt like the very edges of my ribs and shoulders. Now I'm giving you my experience. I hope that you're willing to have yours. Okay. So when we set up for dolphin, let's set this up with a relaxed jaw. And again, it doesn't mean slack. It doesn't mean you have to be an open mouth breather. Just there's a glidingness, a sliding quality around the ear tubes, broadening through the upper back. Exhale, the knees off the ground. And for dolphin, I generally like to have the shoulders over the elbows for a good portion of it. With the shoulders aligned over the elbows, I can generally get a best degree of support from the chest muscles, like the pecs and the shoulder blade muscles. With that alignment, pushing the earth, helps translate into back of heart moves towards sky. Now let's take the right foot, the toes of the right foot, latch on to the left heel cord. Now remembering, we don't have to plunge all of our weight onto the left heel. It can be ounce by ounce, pound by pound. It can be a slow drip of weight into the left heel. It's a powerful way to change our physical state. So as you're dripping that right foot weight into your left heel cord, listen to the sound of your Ujjayi breath. This is a wonderful place to register these little changes in our system. Remembering there's nerve everywhere in our connective tissue, our fascia. Okay, now we'll take that right leg, raising it smoothly, no momentum. You can do it. The high level of control. And a strong reach, spreading the foot bones. Letting the Ujjayi breath match the experience. You can audibly, palpably engage with your breath. We'll set the right foot down. Tongue relaxed. Left foot, latch onto the right heel cord. We'll pour that weight in. It can be gradual. And with active left foot, let's raise that foot away from the heel. And then listening. Remember, it's like we have one kind of ghost hand, like a proverbial hand on the faucet. And we're just playing with that Ujjayi. It's like we can dial up and dial back the sound of the Ujjayi. We don't want to forget it altogether. Although remember, there's soft ways of working with the breath, but we use Ujjayi specifically when we're doing asana. Let's set that foot softly down to the ground. We'll set the knees down. We'll give the arms a rest. When you lie on your back, have a block nearby. and have a roll nearby. So first, this brolga, or this elbow to knee variation, it looks like tree pose. Okay, we'll start with that one. So with the feet off ground, knees over hips, inhale, the low back to the ground, the head, shoulder blades off the ground. Curl tailbone. And now exhale the left leg straight out. Take your right foot, plant it to your inner left thigh. Let's have another breath setup moment here. Inhale into the low back. And now exhale, press the inner left leg into the foot, press the foot into the inner left leg, reach out through all the thigh bones you have. That bent one, reach out through that thigh bone, opening up the hip, pull low belly down. And then we'll let up. Inhale, knees over hips, shoulder blades stay up. Curl tailbone, exhale the right leg out, reach the left foot, plant it into the inner right leg. We'll take one additional setup breath. Inhale. And now exhale, tweeze the right thigh into the foot, press the foot into the thigh, all of the thigh bones moving outward away from the pelvis. Pull low belly down. Like we're getting extra empty. Inhale, let up, knees over hips. I will go one breath per side. Curl tailbone. Exhale, left leg out. Right foot press. Of course, you can use your hand. And the press includes the reach. Strong and long. Sink the low belly in and down. So as the leg reaches out, the belly reaches in. Inhale, bend knees. Curl tail, exhale, right leg out, reach. Left sole of foot, plant. Press, reach, the legs out, reach, the belly reaches in. Pulling it in. It's an inward reach and an outward reach, same time. Inhale, letting up, knees over hips. Let's keep going. Go your pace. I want to watch you for a moment. We'll do 3 more aside. It's getting that inner leg. And just a tiny note as you send that leg, that straightened leg out. Use just a touch of that inner leg, that inner internal rotation. So if your toes point out to the side, it's that little turn that keeps the toes facing the sky. It's not a foot turn, it's a whole leg turn. It's not just wiggling the ankle. The toes are the downstream effect of the thigh and the hip doing something totally differently. It's a thigh bone move. You'll see it at the foot. There you go. This move is about the inner leg, getting it to awaken. As we connect to these different muscles and areas and locations of the body, and suddenly we feel something turning on and supporting us, or changing our behavior. So again, how do we put ourselves into these moments of, ooh, a different behavior, oh, a different way of feeling this, oh, an insight, oh, a connection, a new connection. It's great if we can have an insight. But wouldn't it be marvelous if we could help cause ourselves to stumble into a cascade of insights? Wouldn't that be incredible? When you're through, we'll set the feet down, the head down. Let's grab that roll that we may have. If you're entirely without a prop, you could do strata lifting through instead, but I'll talk through abs with a roll. So I'm going to put the roll between the legs. Legs vertical, spine resting on ground, hands interlaced behind head. Inhale into the low belly, into the low back. Get quite full with breath. Pause, holding the breath. Yep, holding the breath. Squeeze the object. All that inner leg, it was just priming. So now really start to get them involved. Exhale, reach up through the inner legs. Float the head, shoulder blades off the ground. Keep reaching legs you're still on. It's a wonderful glowing state. Pull low belly down. Inhale, let the head down. Let some of those leg pressures come off the object. Hold for a moment, squeeze, and keep the squeeze. Keep the squeeze. It's for feeling. Exhale, the head, shoulder blades off the ground. And as you're squeezing, we're involving all these muscles of the leg and the pelvis and the spine. Pull the low belly down. And then inhaling into the pelvis, into the low back, letting the head down. Letting the leg pressures relax off the object a moment. Hold the breath, squeeze the object. Exhale, keep squeezing the object, reach the legs up, float the head, shoulder blades up, but mostly reach the legs up. Squeeze, straighten, reach, send those legs vibrantly. There's no limit, there's nothing in their way. Send them. Pull low belly down. Now inhale, let the head down. We're going to do a little study. Hold the breath, squeeze the object, and as you exhale, proceed into this abdominal. You're on your own now. And notice any impulses to stop reaching or expanding the legs. Of course, as you inhale, we can relax and soften our efforts, regroup. And then when you're ready, holding the breath, squeeze. And then exhale. Follow the study through. It's that impulse or the want or the truncated want. Noticing if suddenly I don't want to anymore or something else is more important. It's just a little study. So continue just at your own pace. Let's do 3 or 4 more. Counting's not the objective. But getting a few noticing moments. There's no limit to the foot. It's not touching any surface. It's not going to be limited by ground or wall. Just reach. Sense into the leg, through the leg, beyond the leg. Feel the leg move. Or feel where the leg resists moving. Feel where your intentionality gets curtailed. Sometimes the knot, so to speak, it's not a physical, structural thing. Sometimes it's just it's kind of a knot of the mind. It can repattern our intentions. We can have a great and pure intention to behave in a way, and then suddenly we change our intention mid moment. Just little studies, but they're subtle, so I don't want us to miss them. Because there's a great, great place here in our practice where we can study not just our physical behaviors, but those deeper motivations, those impulses, those desires, the clarity of vision that we bring to our enactments. So we've got 2 bridges on the docket today. So our first bridge is with a roll. So let's use that object. You can change the position of the roll. So it's not bad to put it up by the knees, but just remember the kind of the fleshy, meaty part of the muscle is maybe a little closer to the groin, so you decide. I actually want to get into some of the muscle by my knee, so I'm going to just play the roll a little bit higher up by the knee. Or I should say lower. Inhaling, growing the ribs away from the hips. And now with the feet active, exhale, the tailbone lifts to the sky, the buttock lifts. With that object, don't wait to squeeze it. The squeeze will help bring us into the pose differently than not squeezing. Okay. Now I have to adjust my feet to match my roll. Maybe you have to adjust your feet to match the width of your prop. Now we'll start off with like a 20% squeeze. We don't have to get too absurd too quickly, but we will get absurd. Now, noticing, hearing, feeling the Ujjayi breath with this 20% squeeze. And now increasing that squeeze. Let's go like 40%. Now, as you squeeze the legs, notice what the tongue and the jaw may have done. There's deep linkage through this deep front line of the body, the inner legs and the deep spine tissues that go all the way up the neck to the tongue, to the mouth, to the jaw. So I want you to notice this connectivity, this relatedness. So if you jammed or squished your tongue and jaw into something, just squeeze the legs, feel your breath, soften through your core. Okay, now we're going to go 60% squeeze. This is the third squeeze, the last squeeze. But as you gather those legs into the object, gather, 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 gather. Inhaling, growing the low back away from the prop, the mid spine away from the low spine. The upper back arches, lifts, the jaw can receive that breath. And as you're exhaling, the thigh bones send the prop away from your nose. And then we'll start to lower down out of bridge, letting the spine down, all the way down. Okay, let's move the roll off to the side. So now we've got a really good working sense of inner leg. When we re-enter our bridge, if you decide I need a block under sacrum, you can add one at any time. I like the feet a little bit narrower for reaching one leg up. We'll keep the right foot on the ground and inhale, take the left knee to the chest. Exhale, raise, reach that left leg to the sky. As you're reaching up to the sky, you may decide, oh, I want to reach this more toward my shoulder, play a little flexibility. You could do that. But I want you to play with your right foot pressing the earth, as if the block weren't there to support you. Just press. Now, as you engage the press, here's another facet of our asana. We'll generally prefer or play within a certain window of intensivity. And so as you press a little bit more through the right foot, as you reach a little bit more through the left, as you press, as you reach, as you press a little more, as you reach a little bit more, notice where breathing changes, if it does. And just keeping that proverbial hand on the faucet and just turning the ujjayi and the breath up or down. And we'll set the left foot down to the ground. And we'll trade sides. Inhaling, draw the right knee toward chest. And then exhale, raising the right leg, reaching the right leg. So the left foot presses down. The right leg lifts and reaches up. Pressing down all the inner legs that we've discovered thus far. Bring them to the party. Pressing and reaching. And it's okay to start to wander outside of our preferred window of intensivity or experience. We might just notice a little fluctuation in our breath or the tone of our jaw or musculature. But we can notice that, and in the noticing, we'll likely have some choice in the matter. All right, let's set that foot down to the ground. If you have any props, we can clear them out from underneath and lower, lower, lower. Exiting bridge. All right. When we turn over to a side and press up, what I thought we might work with is star chakra forearm balance. Okay. So a couple of ways we can play with this. If you were kicking up or kicking toward a wall, I'll put it that way, you'll have to gauge your distance. So I might choose like a third of my mat back. Maybe set the elbows there. And if I'm working that star, oops, pardon me, I know it's going to drop. That star chakra, just kind of, you can say it with me or feel it in your body. I'm going to go heel to butt, knee to chest, tailbone to sky, heel to butt, knee to chest. Okay, there's two sides. So you may have to kick up twice, or you might be clever and make those switches. Now, if you're not kicking up, not a problem. We'll do the heel to butt part by way of downward dog at the wall. Okay, so you go heel to butt, And reach. Tailbone to sky. Okay. So it's going heel to butt. And then you still have to reach out through the thigh. All right, I'll watch you and see what needs to be said. Help yourself at your pace. I start about a third of the way back on my mat if I'm kicking up. If you get too close, you'll bump right off the wall. There you go. Heel to butt, knee to chest, tail to sky. Heel to butt. Knee to chest. All the way. There you go. Tail to sky. Getting the legs to really blossom away from each other is kind of a funny little perceptual task. Okay. Make sure you do both sides. There you go. Heel to butt. Good. Thigh to chest. Tail to sky. Good. Good. Make sure you breathe there. It's not enough just to take a snapshot. I want you to notice the state, right? States are these fleeting perceptual configurations. How we can be a sleepy state, a hungry state, a drunk state, a sober state, excited state. And as yoga practitioners, how do we bring ourselves into the states that allow for insight? And if possible, lots of insights. There you go. Right, as you're finishing that wall time, I've just made myself over at away from the wall, and I've placed a block at the foot of the mat. Okay, so we'll just have to keep in the back of our eyes and brain that there is a block there. You could use a roll, you could use a block. Chair pose. Inhale, bend knees, reach arms overhead. Exhale, fold. Use your low belly muscles. Soften through the neck, jaw, tongue. Monkey, inhale. Set the hands down, exhale, step the feet back. Remember there's that block back there. Squeeze it up. Use your inner feet, inner ankles as you lower down. Now you have to re-squeeze. So I put the tops of the feet on the ground. Re-engage those inner legs. Now like I'm spearing the legs straight back. There's nothing in their way. Straight back. Inhale into the abdomen. Diaphragm. Chest. Lower down. Exhale. Hands under chest. Downward dog. So now we can release that block. Lunge. Inhale, step the right foot forward. Here's how we're going to play this lunge. Knee up, heel up, and I'm turning my back foot so I can put as many ball mounds on the surface, the ground surface, as I can. So for me, I have to pitch my foot. All of our ball mounds are kind of on our foot differently. So I'm turning my foot so I can have the most contact through that ball mount area. Okay. I'm letting my heel drift back a little bit. I think that's fine. Now I start to work that inner leg. And as I'm pressing back through the heel, finding that inner leg, imagining I'm kind of tweezing it against a roll, I can start that descent of pelvis toward the right heel. Don't give up on that back leg. It's too good. It's too good to forget. And set the hands down. Exhaling, we'll step the right foot back. There's a block back there. Tweeze. Spear the heels back as you lower down. Re-grab the block. Again, strong and long. Don't just squeeze in to reach long, 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 long. Inhale, low back, mid back, upper back. Lower down. Exhale, hands under chest, downward dog. Lunge, inhaling the left foot forward. Take a moment, position the right foot. So you're feeling the most of your ball mounts contacting the ground. So in this way, we're not just pressuring the big toe. The big toe gets a lot of bend time. Spread all that pressure through the ball mounts. There you go. Now we'll start to reach back through the heel, involving that inner leg. And as the strength of that inner leg makes itself known, it's like a chorus of hamstrings. Then feel the pelvis sinking toward that left heel. So we're only going to go as far into lunge as we can feel a bright, vibrant back leg. Yes! Oh, strong legs. Everyone gets a hypothetical gold star today. What a day. What a day. Inhale, place the hands down. Exhale, chaturanga. Left foot back, and we'll lower. Okay. And squeeze that object and reach as if growing the legs longer, longer, longer. Inhale into the low belly. Pulling with the hands, moving the mid-spine away from the low spine. And exhale, lower down, downward dog. All right, half moon. Inhale, left foot forward. I'll use my block up at the top of the mat now. And placing or lifting the right foot, hip height. And then exhale, strong and long. Okay. Now you decide. I think we've done a lot of good stuff to turn on the back of the leg, the inner leg, all sorts of the leg. If you reach through the heel predominantly, you'll tend to feel and enact and involve the back of the leg. But you can also reach a little through the heel and a little through the forefoot. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You'll feel that inner leg also comes in. Now, if you reach purely through the forefoot, you'll get another feeling altogether, just like our Ujjayi breath that can be kind of turned and moved like a faucet. You can press through the heel, through the forefoot, and kind of a little bit more here, a little less there. Okay, carefully moving into vertical splits. So keep reaching through that right leg. Keep reaching. Unless you've got a back concern. So I'm reaching the right hand to the ground. Now here's where I like to press a little bit more through the forefoot, the right forefoot. Inhale, place the right foot down to the ground for lunge. This time, when we get our lunge, heel up, knee up. We're going to bring a little side bend into it. So that really strong contact and that vibrant leg line. Inhale, draw the right arm up. And as you're exhaling, just a teeny little side bend to your left, so over your front or bent leg. All the while, letting that pelvis melt toward that front heel. State changes. They happen. Do we catch them? Are we participating with them? Or are we caught off guard by them? The awareness is the action. Do I know when I'm in a state? A different state, an emotional state, an intense state, a conscious breathing, a participatory state. Do I know? How do I know? Inhale, we'll come upright. Set the hands down. Exhale, chaturanga. There's probably no block back there. Just inhale, upward dog. Yes, you could use cobra. And exhale, downward dog. Half moon. Inhale, right foot forward. Block for the right hand. Left foot hip height. And you get to decide. You might need to press purely through the heel. You might add in a little forefoot. And as I reach through that forefoot, can expand. Feel how that expands the front of the left thigh, the quad, the hip area, the hip crease. There you go. Now, through that reach, hear your breath. Feel your breath. The Ujjayi is something that we have, we can participate with. It's a selecting the right amount of containment, the right amount of release. Vertical splits. Start by reaching the left hand toward the ground. And that may be as much vertical splits as you go for, just depending on your back. And as you keep reaching with that left hand, the left side lengthens toward the ground, and then the hip starts to come along for the ride. Notice if you're using your tongue to push or steer or guard. It's a really interesting subconscious subliminal control mechanism. Some of us will use other behaviors or tics or aids, modifiers. But the tongue and the jaw are really, really good ones to check out for most of us humans. Now here's that lunge with the side bend. Inhale, soft, set that left foot down to the ground. Nice contact, ball mounts to earth. I've got the right hand on the right thigh, and now exhale, I'm reaching this left arm up, and reaching over the midline, over to the right side. Good. Leg stays vibrant. And yes, you can continue feeling the pelvis melt, sink down toward the right heel. Legs. Now, as that might increase some of the feeling, sensation, if I start to move into a less resourceful state, I can pause. But if I still have my resources, and I'm not in any injurious territory, I could keep exploring. Right? And that's kind of the whole idea between security and exploration. When we feel resourced, we can explore. Inhale, and kind of unwind, set the hands down under the shoulders. Exhale, chaturanga. We'll lower all the way down. There's a boat here for us. Interlace hands. Now I don't have that block between my ankles anymore. I kind of want one. But involve the inner legs. Get them active. Reach back through the legs. Inhale, coming up into boat. Legs reach back. The heart is inspired forward. And release. Inhale, hands under chest. Exhale, downward dog. Warrior two. Inhale, left foot forward. Let the arms relax. We're going to move through some shoulder shrugs. So I like to think of these as, it was like we're just getting the sponges rinsed. Inhale into the upper back. Raise the shoulders, gather them at the top, and exhale like you're wringing out the sponges of your traps and those rhomboids and those shoulder blade muscles. And inhaling. Ooh, big heart move. By the middle parts. Gather up. Exhale, sponge it. And inhale, relaxing the hands, feeling that back of heart. Any attitudes that we have to breathing to the back of the heart, those are fun to notice. Find the bottom tips. Exhale. Just getting those slightly lower back muscles. Reverse warrior. Inhale, we'll go right hand to thigh, left arm reach up. And exhale, left armpit lifts away from the hip crease. Inhale, we'll come upright. Straighten the left leg. We'll turn our left foot in, so we're coming into a symmetric, wide-legged stance. Plank stretch. Once we fold, we'll take our left hand to our right ankle. Left hand, right ankle. Right hand just caps it, helps hold it in place. So it's mainly a fold plus an arc, just like our reverse warrior. Just a little different configuration. I like to press with the feet. So the leg muscles, all those wonderful inner legs and quads and things, let them participate. And release. Inhale, let's walk the hands toward our left foot. Now, I'm going to switch these feet around. We're going to pivot the feet. We're not going to actually switch them. Left foot point forward. And I'm setting up for a twisting warrior. Got my right foot pitched in. Now, exhale. Let's take that right elbow over the left thigh. Right elbow over the left thigh. Inhaling, unwind, lounge, lunge. Set the right knee down, the right foot down. As we hug the thigh, left arm, ease, drape the ribs down. You may have to adjust the footing somewhat if you have some knee things or hip things that you need to kind of work with. The breath stroll all the way up under that shoulder blade. Inhaling, unwind. Hands under shoulders. Exhaling, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Warrior two. Inhale the right foot forward. Relax the arms. We got a few poses. We're getting flanky. Starting with the shoulder blade area around the spine. Inhale into the upper back. And big gather, raising, lifting, gathering the tops of the shoulders. Exhale, gather and squeeze. Okay, now as we breathe into the back of the heart, releasing the muscly part of that move. Again, feel with your breath the back of the heart. There's qualities, timbres, tones, attitudes that we have in the area, toward the area. So when noticing these little fluctuations of even emotional tone, that's a state. Squeeze the middle parts of the blades. Exhale, squeeze, gather, drag, draw, move, express, sponge. And inhale. From the bottom tips, gather, squeeze, drag, draw. Exhaling, exhaling, exhaling. Reverse warrior. Inhale. Letting the breath expand broadly. The arms just illustrate that. Left hand to thigh, exhale, raise the right arm, and moving the armpit away from the hip crease. And you may have to just subtly adjust your footing, your stance, your foot bones, so that your press, your contact with the ground, can help you feel that light, buoyant opening or float in the right hip. Is that true? There you go. And if you feel that state change, how do we breathe? I would argue that a sudden state change, unless we train it, can kind of catch us off guard. Oh, wait. So that's why we want to keep remembering our breath. Inhale, we'll come back to our upright. We'll straighten the right leg. And here for flank stretch, we'll pitch the right foot in a little bit more. And from fold, right hand reach for left ankle. Left hand just help hold. Now the leg muscles, get them all helping, expressing. Working those leg muscles on is really great knee health. Now I imagine, I have the belief, that we have a lot more knee surgeries today than we did 3,000 years ago. That's my belief. And so there's different kind of things that we do in a post-medical anatomy world. It's kind of involving part of the expressing the muscles is forging that connection, creating richer and denser networks, and therefore a sense of connectivity. Inhale, letting up, walk the hands toward the right foot. We'll change the direction of our feet. Right foot forward, left foot turned in, and we're setting up for twisting warrior. Exhaling, take this left arm, reach it forward, and then over the thigh. Maybe that ujjayi is like a faucet. You can turn it up. You can turn the ujjayi sound or water pressure down. Inhale, unwind. Lounge lunge. We'll set the left knee down, the left hand down, and we'll drape the left ribs down. Right arm, hug the thigh. Inhale, let's unwind. Hands under shoulders. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. All right. Step any foot forward just so we can take a wide stance any way you want to face. So here's my suggestion. Generally, when we do a round of Uddiyana, we've maintained this stationary position of the torso. There's also the possibility of very softly and gradually shifting or moving. Okay, so let me show you around just so I can show you how gradually and softly I mean, because under these conditions, very small actions go a long way. So let's say I'm doing a round of Uddiyana in horse. And then I'm letting myself just explore some number of inches of twist. Okay, so I'll talk us through. If you could see that, it was maybe a quarter of a turn. So I really have to feel and listen as I do it. So I've taken a wide stance, hands on thighs. Whenever you're ready, we'll exhale swiftly, everything out. And I like to start by gathering and drawing the belly in. Then you'll decide if you want to press a hand into thigh and invoke a tiny amount of twist as you're still drawing the belly in, maybe twisting and pulling the belly in, maybe flaring, lifting the ribs up. But whichever you do, just take care to explore, to listen to your body. And same as usual, soften the belly when you need to breathe. And inhale, we'll unwind. And we'll just do one going to the other side. So if you had twisted one way, now we'll twist the other way. Your pace. The final thing, just to play those final upside down moments, as is common at the end of a practice. We'll keep our wide stance, straightening our legs, interlace hands, because I don't want us to leave out the very tippy top of the body. And we'll do a chest opener by folding and allowing the head to hang right between the legs. We'll take several deep breaths, especially playing with the muscles of inspiration. Letting ourselves fully and thoroughly exhale. And inhale, we'll bring hands down to sacrum, down to ground. And we'll heel toe set our knees, butt, and back on the ground, Shavasana. Let us. So adding in any layers or Elevating legs however you need. So first is, if it is true that our practice represents a kind of an arena for insight, for wisdom, and that we have bound or boundaried this time and this space and this type of work with a kind of a breath, then now is the time to release that boundary that breath creates. So relaxing the ujjayi. And so our thesis today is that the ujjayi physically, subtly, theatrically, subliminally, anatomically creates a boundary. It creates an arena for a specific kind of insight work. It's releasing the ujjayi, releasing any of the work, the contraction, the gathering, and feeling the body almost like a liquid state. Of melting. Softening and opening. Bringing your feeling awareness all throughout the skin, your skin. Feel as if every pore, every bit of skin surface is respiring. And when you're ready, we'll bend knees. And turn to a side. And press to seated. Namaste.